Hi, Philip. I'm going to give you some feedback on this email, particularly with the use of the word immersant. I have dug somewhat deeply into the literature, not really deeply, and there doesn't seem to be a word immersant. Immersant itself is not a word, so this is a term coined by this um, uh, I'm assuming a researcher and in a book and journal article, although I would like to see the article. And so I'm concerned that it is not something that is used in the literature. And that's really important when you're writing because uh, if you start using strange words or a unique word that is only used by this individual, your work runs the risk of not having much of an impact. So that's my first point. Now I'm going to read what you said. She ran one of the earliest VR-based art exhibits. Okay. Her reflections on the meaning of VR space have interacted with tens of thousands of visitors of Almos. Again, Osmos, which is fine, but has no impact in terms of research. And it led her to discuss shifting away from the transactional term user to a term that captures the nature of the deep immersion embodiments in virtual spaces. Okay, so I'm not proposing the term user, I'm proposing a neutral term, participant, which is standard um, practice. When you use the word immersant, it assumes that these participants are immersed in VR, and we can't make that assumption as a researcher. That's a problem. You're actually biasing. You're saying they're going to be immersant or immersant. They're going to be immersed. And so you're setting up the bias, and I do have a bit of a problem with that. Um, so that's the second point that captures the nature of deep immersion. Now, this is art. Right? It's a little bit different than being immersed in a course. She put forward the term immersant. Now, you're referring to a person, not a term. So this term is tightly woven into the philosophical thread of my work, um, and also connects with the theoretical gaps noted from the Lit Review. Uh, I'd have to read what's going on in the paper, but it at first glance it is confusing and perhaps a middle way to go. But I am reluctant, and maybe we could talk with Dr. Hughes to introduce a term that only one person has used because it's not in the literature that I can see. I can't find it, and to you have to in the methodology. You can't call them immersants. It's a participant. They don't change their identity. They're participants in a VR thing. Now, whether they're immersed or not is an empirical question. That's the concern I have, that you're setting it up. Um, but so this, I understand you have this deep philosophy here, but you're almost basically setting the stage and saying these people are immersed, as opposed to that being an empirical question, whether they may or may not be immersed. We don't know. So that's something to think about. Um, and maybe we can meet and discuss, but it's also something I just don't want it to be. It definitely rubbed me in a different way when I saw it in the paper. I think you can refer to it, but you have like 400 references to immersant, and it's not even a word. You don't even reference Davies that as the use of that. So that has to be fixed in some way. Also, you're submitting this other paper. Okay. Now, to the journal information, their editor approved abstract for special issues, so it's submitted. Um, yeah. Is it possible to see that before you've submitted? Um, because I was worried the first time when that paper was put up, to be honest, of its cohesion. And the criticism was part of my worry. So before it gets submitted and rejected again, I would like to at least look at it for cohesion. And 1 years old. That's amazing. Wow. I hope things are going well there. I'm sure it's challenging, but I bet you're getting better at it. Okay, you take care.